Hello, and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you what binary is all about. And to do that, we will be using stones. Just some nice, smooth stones I have here. Let's say, for example, I was out in the middle of the woods and I just gathered these stones because I wanted to count something. And I have 15 stones here in total. You can see them right there. That's all 15. And I wanted to count more than 15, but we'll get to that step later. What binary is all about is it's just counting in twos. If I wanted to count 15, but I didn't want to carry this many stones around, I need a new system, obviously. So let's start with the beginning. I have one stone. One stone means one, easily. And then if I was to add a stone, it becomes two stones. But I don't want to be stacking them up on each other because I only have this flat surface, and then you see that they kind of disappear on each other. So what if I just moved one over? I'm going to use a spacer here, so you know that there is a space in between here. It's kind of like our memory. So this right now represents 2. I've just added another stone to it. So if I was to add another stone, and we'll keep these up here. So you remember that this means something else. This is the 1 slot, and this is the 2 slot, because there's actually 2 stones right here. And in this slot, there's actually 1 stone. So if I was to add a stone here, when it was just this, and I'm adding a stone, you add this one, this singular one, to this 2. And so this number becomes 3 because it's the same as if I was to take these away, and I'm adding one, and then I add another one. This moves over 1, that's 2, then I add a third, that's 3. So this is actually 3 stones. Now, what happens if I add one more to the mix? So I add 1. This 1 becomes a 0. It moves over. This 1 becomes a 0. It moves over. Because whenever you add 1 to 1, that cancels it out, and you move it over 1. So right now, we have a 1 place, a 2's place, and what happens when we add 2 to 2, because what happened was we had 1 stone, and then we added 1 to it, which became 2 stones. So then we took those 2 stones, and we added it to this one, which is 2 stones. So this gets moved over because it's bigger than 2, obviously. So if you have 2 stones and 2 stones, because I added these 2 to this 2, it becomes 4 stones. So right now we have a 4 stone slot that begins with a 4. And if I was to add 1 more, that becomes 1 and 4, which is 5. And then you add 1 more, that becomes 2. You move that over because it's too big for this slot, so it becomes into this one. So now we have 4 plus 2, because these 4 and these 2, which becomes 6. And then so on. You add another one, this becomes 7, because you're just adding 1. Let's go back to the beginning, just so we remember what everything is. Because if you've never thought about it like this before, it's just you're just adding things to each other. So we have the ones we have 1 stone. We're adding 1 stone to the pile. It's completely blank. We have 1 stone. But if we were to add another stone, that becomes 2. But this is the 1 slot. So we're moving it over 1. This becomes 2. It's like a game of Go, or one of those games where you put a stone on there and it like becomes a king or something like that. And if we were to add 2, 2 obviously doesn't fit in there. It goes into here, but 2 to 2 becomes 4. So we have a 4. And if I was to have a 7 right here, can you guess what this would be? You might obviously already guess that if I add 1 to here, we have 2. And then if I add 2 to this 2, it becomes a 4. And if I'm adding a 4 to this stone here, 4 and 4 makes an 8. So then we have 8 stones all up in here. Or pretend I have 1 extra one. So we have the 4. We have the 1 slot, the 2 slot, the 4 slot, and the 8 slot. So this is actually, you can count up to 15 with just these 4 spaces. So this is 9. You add 1 more. This becomes 10. We have a blank spot, a rock spot, a blank spot, and a rock spot. This is an 8 spot, this is a 4 spot, this is a 2 spot, and this is a 1 spot. And if we were to add 1 more, this is 8, 9, 10, 11. And if I was to add 1 more, this gets blanked out, goes over to here. 2 plus 2 is 4, goes up to the 4 spot. So 8 plus 4 becomes 12. You can do math much quicker if you're using binary. I mean, like, if you're using, 1 through 10, you have to convert it to binary first, but you can count much quicker by using binary. And then you can do a lot of operations with binary that you couldn't do nearly as quickly in normal stuff unless you have, like, a calculator at hand and other stuff. Because there's very special properties of binary that lets it do certain things very well. So if I was to add 1 more, this is 8, 4, and 1. So 8, 4, 12, 13. Add 1 more. 8, 4, and 2, which is the same as 6 plus 8. 12, 13, 14. Add 1 more, that's 15. So you're moving all these extra counters out of the way. Just so you remember, this is an 8 spot, this is a 4 spot, this is a 2 spot, and this is a 1 spot. If you wanted to represent 0, just take the stones out. But this is 15. So what happens when I add 1 more to the mix? So 2 is bigger than the 1 spot, so obviously it moves over. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then you put 4 plus 4 is 8. Then 8 plus 8 is 16, which goes 1 more out of the box. And you can just keep going to infinity. And that is what binary is all about. It's just, you're just adding 1 to the mix. So you have 1, then 1 and 1 is 2, then 1 is 3, then 1 and 1 is plus 2 becomes 4, and then you do 5, then 1 and 1 is 6, because 4 and 2 is 6, then you add 1, that becomes 7, because 4, 2, and 1 is 7, and you add 1, because 2 becomes 4, because 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, so you put it in the 8 slot. And you have that, that's 9. You add one more to that, that becomes 10. That goes to 11. You add one more, 2 plus 2 and 2 is 4. Goes in the 4th slot, that's 12, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 2 and 2, 14, 15, add one more, 2 and 2, becomes 4, becomes 8, becomes 16, moves over to the 16.